Well, new polling from Nanos Research shows that 3/4 of Canadians are now open to building a new pipeline in the country, while about the same number of people reject the idea of an economic union that would see us adopting the U.S. dollar. Well, for more on this, we're joined live by CTV's Kamil Karamali. Let's talk about the latest poll numbers from Canadians and possible new pipelines, and specifically Quebecers. How do they all feel about this?
Yeah, Jamie, this Nanos polling comes just as businesses and politicians are increasing talks of interprovincial trade partnerships amid the U.S. tariff trade war. And we're seeing that most Canadians are now in favor of a pipeline, trying to be less dependent on pipelines running through the U.S. and letting oil and gas run from Alberta down to eastern Canada. So here are the polling numbers. Nanos polling over 1,000 Canadians, with more than half saying they support a pipeline. 21% say they somewhat support it. 11% are opposed to a pipeline, and 10% are somewhat opposed. Taking a look at the regional breakdown, you can see that the prairie provinces, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, show the highest support for the energy corridor from Alberta to the East Coast, with 85% in favor. Quebec is probably most interesting, seeing a nearly 60% support for a pipeline. The reason that's interesting, Jamie, is because we know that traditionally the Bloc Québécois have taken a firm stance against oil pipelines, even specifically saying, with the Bloc Québécois leader Blanchet saying he was fiercely opposed to any new pipeline projects as recently as earlier this month. So it's interesting that it looks like with Quebecers, the idea of a pipeline might be shifting.
Oh, let's talk about this idea of sharing currency with the Americans. What do the numbers say?
Yeah, so the question was posed, would you support an economic union with the U.S., similar to what would be a European Union, you know, free trade and free movement of people between the two countries. And most Canadians are opposed to that idea because it would also include adopting the U.S. dollar. So you can see right there, 65% are firmly opposed to an economic union with the U.S. and adopting the U.S. dollar, while 10% are somewhat opposed. A very small amount polled are in support of it, 9% in support and 11% somewhat support. Taking a look at the regional breakdown here, you can see almost 3/4 of all Canadians in each of these regions, most notably Atlantic Canada, nearly at 80%, are opposed to adopting the U.S. dollar, excuse me, and creating this economic union with the U.S. So just a snapshot, Jamie, of this growing rift amidst this trade war with the U.S.
That's CTV's Kamil Karamali. We appreciate that report. Thank you.
You're welcome.